Roth conversions are everywhere right now. Every financial advisor seems to be talking about them, and I get why. They sound amazing. Pay taxes now, avoid a lot more taxes later, right? But more often than not, they're actually a terrible idea for retirees. Today, I'm going to break down why so that you can make more informed decisions. Chapter 1, why advisors love talking about Roth conversions. Let's be honest about something first. Roth conversions are having a moment. Every financial content creator, advisor, tax expert is talking about them. I get why. I've talked about them in videos. You convert money from your traditional IRA to your Roth, you pay taxes on that conversion at today's rates, and then that money grows tax-free forever. No required minimum distributions, no taxes when you take it out, and you get to leave a tax-free inheritance to your heirs. On paper, it sounds like a no-brainer. The Secure Act changed the inherited IRA rules in 2020, requiring most non-spouse beneficiaries to empty those inherited IRAs within 10 years instead of stretching the distributions over their lifetime. If the original owner already started RMDs, beneficiaries will now face mandatory annual withdrawals plus that 10-year deadline. That means your kids could be forced to take huge taxable distributions during their peak earning years. Chapter 2, the outside assets problem. Here's the single biggest reason Roth conversions don't actually move the needle for most people. You need money outside of your retirement accounts to pay the taxes. Let's say you want to convert $100,000 from your IRA to your Roth. If you're in the 22% federal tax bracket, $22,000 in taxes. If you live in a state like California or New York, add another $5,000, $10,000, $13,000 on top of that. Now, if you have $30,000 sitting in a brokerage account or a savings account that you can use to write that check to the IRS, great. You convert the full $100,000. Goes into your Roth, and that full amount gets to grow tax-free. But if you don't have that cash sitting around, what happens? Most people withhold the taxes from the conversion itself. So the $100,000 conversion becomes $78,000 in your Roth and $22,000 go on to federal taxes. Here's why that matters. Let's say that money doubles over the next 10 years. If you had the full $100,000 growing in your Roth, you'd have $200,000 tax-free. But if you had $78,000 because you withheld the taxes, now you have $156,000. You just gave up $44,000 of tax-free growth because you didn't have outside money to pay the bill. Unfortunately, only about 45% of retirees hold taxable investment accounts with stocks or bonds or mutual funds outside retirement plans. That means more than half of retirees don't have substantial brokerage accounts to pull from. If you're in that group, Roth conversions are already starting off on the wrong foot. Chapter 3, the Medicare IRMA impact that nobody mentions. Okay, so let's say you do have outside assets. Let's say you can pay the taxes from your brokerage account without touching the conversion amount. You're good, right? Not so fast. There's another cost to be aware of if you're 63 or older that most retirees don't know about until they get the bill. Medicare IRMA surcharges. IRMA stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Here's how it works. Your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums are based on your modified adjusted gross income from 2 years prior. For 2026, your premiums are based on your 2024 income. If your income exceeds certain thresholds by a single dollar, you pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars more per year in Medicare premiums. For 26, the first IRMA threshold kicks in at about $109,000 for single filers and $218,000 for married filing jointly. Once you cross that line, your Medicare Part B premium jumps by $81 per month, and your Part D premium goes up by $14 per month. That's an extra $1,148 per year per person. And if you're married, double it. So now you're paying an extra almost $2,300 per year in Medicare premiums just because your income crossed by a single dollar. And here's the kicker. Roth conversion counts as income for IRMA purposes. So if you're thinking about doing a $250,000 Roth conversion to get ahead of taxes, congratulations. You just triggered IRMA surcharges that could cost you over $6,000 2 years later. That's money coming right out of your pocket on top of the taxes you already paid on that conversion. I had someone reach out recently who told me they'd been doing large Roth conversions every year, around $250,000 each time to convert their $1 million to a Roth. Their advisor told them it was a great move. What the advisor didn't tell them was that those conversions were triggering IRMA, and it didn't become apparent until 2 years later when the bill showed up in the mail. This couple ended up paying over $6,000 extra for Medicare 2 years later because those conversions stacked on top of the rest of their income. To say they were not pleased would be an understatement. Chapter 4, when Roth conversions actually make sense. I'm not saying Roth conversions are always bad. There are absolutely situations where they make perfect sense, but those situations are more specific than most people realize. First, you need outside assets. We've covered that. You need money in a brokerage account or a savings account that you'll use to pay the taxes without pulling from the conversion itself. If you don't have that, you're already cutting into the benefit. Second, you need to be in a low tax bracket. This is usually early in retirement before Social Security kicks in and before RMDs start at age 73 or 75. Let's say you retire at 62 and you're living off a brokerage account or some cash reserves. Your taxable income might be very low, maybe in the 10 or 12% federal bracket. That's the conversion sweet spot. You're filling up these conversions in the lower tax brackets, paying 10 or 12% now instead of 22% or 24% later. Third, you need time. Roth conversions are a long-term play. If you're converting at 85, the math probably doesn't work. You need years, ideally decades, for that tax-free compounding to outpace the upfront tax hit. And if you think you might need that money soon, conversions don't make sense. You're locking up money that could be more flexible elsewhere. Finally, you need to avoid the Medicare cliffs. That means keeping your income below those IRMAA thresholds, or at least being strategic about when you cross them. Maybe you do smaller conversions over multiple years instead of one giant conversion that blows you into the highest surcharge bracket. If you check all those boxes, then yes, Roth conversions can be a powerful tool. But if you're missing on even one of those pieces, you might be doing more harm than good. Chapter 5, the one exception, converting for your heirs. There's one scenario where I think Roth conversions deserve serious consideration, even if the math for you isn't personally perfect. And that's if you're doing it for your heirs. Here's why. Under the Secure Act, most non-spouse beneficiaries who inherit a traditional IRA have to empty it within 10 years. And if you died after you started taking RMDs, they also have to take an annual required distribution in years 1 through 9, and then still empty the account by year 10. There's a lot of forced taxable income there. Now, imagine your kids are in their 40s or 50s, in their peak earning years, maybe in the 32 or 35% federal tax bracket. They inherit your $500,000 IRA. They're forced to pull out $50,000 to $70,000 per year to stay on track to empty it in 10 years. That entire amount is taxed as ordinary income at the highest marginal rate. They could easily end up paying 35 to 40% in combined federal and state taxes. If you convert that IRA to a Roth during your lifetime, you pay the tax at your rate, which is probably lower than theirs. They will inherit a Roth IRA. They'll still have to empty it in 10 years, but now every dollar they pull out is tax-free. They're not getting hit with massive ordinary income tax. They're not bumping themselves into higher brackets. They just take the money out. So if you're thinking about legacy planning and you know your kids are going to be in high tax bracket when they inherit the money, doing some Roth conversions specifically for them can make a lot of sense. You're essentially prepaying the tax at a discount so they don't have to pay it at a premium later. Roth conversions can be an incredible strategy, but they're not a one-size-fits-all solution. And they're definitely not something you should do just because it's the popular advice right now. If you don't have outside assets to pay the taxes, if you're going to trigger massive Medicare surcharges, or if you're already in a low tax bracket in retirement, conversions might cost you more than they save. The truth is, most retirees are better off with a thoughtful, personalized withdrawal strategy that considers all of the variables: your tax brackets, your Medicare situation, your spending needs, and yes, your legacy goals. If you want help figuring out whether Roth conversions make sense for your specific situation, head to the link in the description and schedule a time to talk with our team. We'll walk you through the numbers and show you what actually makes sense for you, not just what's trending.